staying? I know you said where they at. Where they at? All right. Well, I'm glad that you're here. I'm expecting to have more people come, but because they changed the location and we had to take like a field trip to get here, it may take a little while for some people, but we're going to go ahead and get started because there's a lot of information that I do want to share with you, both myself and my counterpart, Sonia, and she's going to introduce herself as well.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay. That's the teacher's name as well. My name is Ms. Gonzalez, and everybody just calls me G. I'm the Wealthy Education Center, where I teach English to 10th through 12th grade. And we have a few things going on there that we're really excited about. This is one of our interventions. So I'm happy to represent Wealthy and found for our first district.
That's good, that's good. So I have a question for you. First of all, why did you come in here today? Somebody tell me, what is it? Yes.
I need help paying for college, and a lot of the scholarships require essays, so
Very
this
cool.
is a good step in that.
Yes, it is. It was smart that you were here, so you get the money, right? Yeah. Who else? Any other reason you're here? Yes.
I'm trying to start a really simple song, and concern working on scholarships.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that. How many of you, when you get ready to go to college, you say, I want to go out of state? Raise your hand. All right. Of you that are raising your hand, how are you going to pay for that? Yes. Yeah, you say scholarships, right? Let me just say this to you, words to the wise. It costs less to stay in state. And statistically, 80 to 85% of those who leave and go out of state, guess what they do? They come back home. They can't afford it. They're hungry. They're broke. And they come back home. If you're going to go out of state, make sure that you have a plan in place. That it's not, I just want to get out of Colorado. I want to get away from my parents. I want to go do my own thing. If you want to know how to do your own thing, come see me. No, I'm just joking, but anyway. You can still do things here in this state. I'm not discouraging you from leaving the state, but just be wise on that. So my next question is, I want you to think about this first, and then I want you to turn to someone and answer this question. Tell them what your answer is. And then I'm going to call on some people to tell me what you all said. So my question is, what do you do with the extra money that you get from a scholarship? So say you get your scholarship and you pay for your classes. What do you do with the rest of your money? Think about that for a second. Hold it. Now, turn to somebody and share that with them. What do you do with that extra money? Okay, so she said that she would save her money, in case she needed it for other things like another class or books or for her dorms or something. Okay, all right, very good. What else? Yes. Use it for emergencies. What's an emergency? Like last minute money request for school. Okay, all right. Who else? Yes.
I would invest in the stock market.
because he ended up going to the Air Force Academy, so it was paid for. And they were paying him. So when he would get his money and his friends would go out and spend their money, he was investing in the stock market and other investments. And his goal was to buy his first home before he turned 21. My son has not bought a house yet. He's 22. He's going to buy it in June. And he knows that students your age, you have to save money for retirement. How much money do you think you have to have saved for retirement? By the time you retire in the bank, you need this amount of money. How much do you think that is? You said I have no idea. How much? I hear a lot of but I haven't heard a number yet. Anybody have a number? Yes.
500,000.
500,000. Anybody else? Any other number? Yes. 200,000. What would you say? 401.
Is that what
No, not the 401k. I'm talking about how much money. Like, no. 500,000. So any other number? Okay, let me put it like this. I am 50 years old. That's how it's supposed to look. You know what I mean? Right? I'm not sure this is what 50 is supposed to look like. I'm telling you, don't get me playing, right? So, but let me say this to you. At 50 years old, I should be retiring between 65 and 67. And upon retirement, for a person my age, I should have in the bank, cash in hand, $2 million to live and keep up the standard of living that I have. And for someone your age, you need $4 million. 4 million, let me say it again, 4 million, start putting the zeros there. My son, he is the financial officer for the Air Force. He grew up, and I grew up in poverty. So we had no money. So to even think about 4,000 was a lot of money. So here he is, he knows he has to do that, and so calculating that, he knows he has to save $5,000 a year starting at age 18 to get there. And to expedite that, to get there quicker, you invest. And it's amazing how many of us thought that that was crazy, but that is actually the fact that you must do. And while you may save your money for emergency, which absolutely that's smart to do, you could be investing that. You could be paying off some of those student loans because, see, you may have to get some student loans. And if you do, when you start looking at not just how much you owe, but the compounded interest that goes with that, you'll be paying much longer than 10 years. And you'll be paying more than double what you actually borrow. You don't want that kind of debt. And so if you have extra money, go make a payment towards that interest on those student loans. This is serious stuff, and I'm in here because this is some serious stuff, and I'm going to teach you some serious things that you're going to have the competitive edge to write an essay to get that money. As a matter of fact, our goal for today is to write an essay. We're going to do that. And you're going to know the elements to be able to achieve that, because guess what? I didn't have that. No one told me how to write an essay for a scholarship or to get into a college. No one told me how to do that. They would give you something vague, just, tell them what you want to do and why you want to apply. There is some magic to it. And I want to be able to share with you what that magic actually is. But first of all, let's just kind of see a little bit about what a scholarship is and what does it do. There are some things that you definitely are going to need to know about a scholarship. If I can do this. there's some things that you need to know. So if I were you, any type of writing utensil that you have, any type of paper that you have, I would highly suggest you pull it out. Because I would like for you to take copious notes. That means plenty. I want you to take plenty meaningful notes. Because this is stuff that you're going to be able to use. Anybody who is not in here today, and anybody who does not have these notes, will not have the edge that you will have. So this will be extremely helpful to you. Why do you think, what's up with people submitting their scholarship and you look over and there's certain people that just keep getting them and you don't, or certain groups don't? Why do you think that is? Any idea? I know for me, I used to think it was because they had family that sat on the committee. They knew somebody. So all they had to do was submit their paperwork and you could read it. And when I didn't think it was that, then I thought, oh, you know what? They were only giving scholarships for guys. They don't give it to girls. Then I said, well, no, that ain't it. They only give it to white people. They don't give it to nobody else but white people. Then I found out that that wasn't true either. What I did find out was they were looking at people who could grab their attention right away. Tell me why we should give you this scholarship. And the ones that answered the question actually got it. And it begins with a review from the scholarship committee. The committee is made up of several people that are interested in reading these applications. I sit on those types of committees. Now, when you sit on them, it's like, you know what? How many people apply for this scholarship? 320, yes. 320 people apply for this particular scholarship. That's a low number. Guess what I have for you? 3. 7. Do I like reading them? If they're not boring. But the ones that are always like, oh, here we go. Bring me another cup of tea. And it takes a long time. So guess what I'm doing when I could be home, hitting the gym, going to the movies, going to sleep. Guess what I'm doing? Reading. And unless I can get somebody to really grab my interest, I really don't look over it that much. I scan over it, I move on to the next one. And the only way that you're going to grab their attention is right from the beginning. So know that it begins with the committee. Committees will evaluate these following. Look at leadership. So you're going to be doing some brainstorming. You're going to be thinking about what leadership skills you actually have. Extracurricular involvement. I'm sure that your instructor here, Ms. Gonzalez, will talk about the grammar and punctuation. Can you tell us how important that is?
Absolutely.
Or people can notice it?
There are a few things you should know when it comes to grammar and punctuation. One of them is that spell check doesn't make everything. So relying on that to help you with your grammar and punctuation isn't the solve. And I've had this discussion with students before. There are a couple things you need to think about when you're looking at the presentation of you, right? This is like the heart and soul of your project. So this is where the things are. You want to look at, do I sound okay? Because it doesn't matter how great your story is. If somebody is tripping on it the entire time you're reading it, meaning they have to struggle to find out what you mean, as much as they may love your story, they're not going to give it to you because they're not sure that you're capable of using their funds correctly. So you have to think about that. When it comes to grammar, you also want to think about who do I know that maybe has a better idea of it than me. It can be anybody. It can be your English teacher. It can be, all of us teachers had to go to college, so maybe you want to ask one of them if you're not comfortable with your English teacher. There are things online that you can do, places where you can submit your essays and just get some feedback. Worst comes to worst, though, okay? And if you read it aloud, sometimes reading it aloud, word for word, forcing yourself to, will help you to catch some of the errors right away. Because naturally, after going through your primary education, you know what sounds incorrect. So think about those things.
Outstanding. Thank you for that. That's extremely important. So what I want you to do, first of all, how many of you have a cell phone with a camera on it? How many of you have them with you? Hold it out. Pull out the camera. And take a picture of that. Good notes.
Here's the other thing I would say, is Dr. Lewis and I will say some things that are not on the presentations. So take your pictures there, but the things that stick out to you that we say, that's what your notes are for. So make use of that, because you can look at this later, but you can't get us later. So you want to make sure that that's what you're taking your notes on.
Exactly. So with that being the case, what I want you to do is I want you to think about your leadership skills. What are your leadership skills that you have? And we're going to add to it. So I want you, as fast as you can, I'm going to give you 1 minute to write the longest list. I'm going to see who can get the longest list of leadership skills that you have. Okay? So, get ready, set, go.
If you're struggling, how do you demonstrate leadership every day? What do you do for others? What do you do to help them onto the right path, to do what they have to do? It could be as simple as helping somebody to a class, introducing new students. It could be stopping a fight. Any of those things. Those are leadership skills you guys.
30 seconds to go.
If you volunteer for this is part of the leadership, right? What do you have to demonstrate today?
Ten seconds. Okay, stop. Okay, so somebody tell me how many they have on their list. 7. Anybody got higher than 7? Higher than 10? 15. Any higher than 15? All right, so check this out. Okay, so listen. Let me teach you something real quick. This is where you get to learn to be smarter and not work harder. This young man has 15, and I'm sure there's some things on his list that you don't have, that when you hear them, you better go ahead and write them down. See, this is the way that you get this. So I want you to start reading them. Go ahead. Organize. That's okay, I'm going to repeat them. Thank you. Motivating. What did you say? Comforting?
Comforting.
Yes, comforting, and then optimistic. Hard love. Welcoming. Caring. Creative. Bold.
They're trying to copy. Slow down a bit. They would appreciate it.
I'm going to go to the list again. Values, teamwork. Moral pillars. Explain that one. I like that whole term because that's going to grab my attention as a scholarship committee person. I'm going to go, what is that? I need to call him in to ask. Moral pillars. Student council and leadership class. Absolutely. Okay, so from that list, do we need to go over the list again? Okay, so from that, who has on their list some things that he did not say? Okay, go ahead, tell me. Say that again. Brave. Did you say brave? Yes, brave.
He said brave.
Okay, no, I just wanted to know what you said. Yep, brave. Okay, excellent, excellent. Yes?
Is able to follow as well as others.
Oh, the ability to follow. Write that one down. Yes.
Service.
Service. Absolutely. Service. Yes.
Preparedness.
Curious?
Preparedness.
Oh, preparedness. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Challenge others. Oh, and challenge yourself. Yes.
Said ask questions.
Ask questions. Yes. Yes.
Taking small steps to education.
That one was just so wonderful. Taking smaller steps to achieve your goal or to achieve your education. Really nice. All right, somebody else. Did you? Positive, stay positive. Do you see what's happening here? You have now a list of leadership skills that you can actually reflect on to say, this is who I am. So when you're writing that scholarship, you have these words in place. Don't lose this stuff. I'm telling you. Extracurricular involvement. Besides going to school and going home and eating and sleeping, what other involvements do you have? Some of you tell me, what are some of your extracurricular activities that you do? Yes. Say that again. So she volunteers at the Humane Society. So just taking that for a minute, somebody might look and say, well, why would we care about that? What does that tell us about her? If she volunteers at the Humane Society, what does that tell us about her? That what? That she's involved in her community. What else? She's selfless. Yes. What else? That she loves animals. That she has empathy. There's something deep here. So just think, when you start talking about your extracurricular activities, it is telling a bigger story about who you are. And that's why they have you put that there. Somebody else, I saw a hand over here. Yes?
JROTC.
You what?
JROTC.
Okay, so you do JROTC. All right. Does everybody know what that is? Okay, so by you doing that, what does that tell you? Yes?
It says that she's willing to serve for a bigger purpose and more than just for her own benefit.
Yes, that she's willing to serve something bigger than herself. I was in the Air Force. I served in Desert Storm. I fought in a war. And for me to sacrifice my life for my country, that speaks volumes. So that's excellent. Somebody else? Yes.
I pole vault.
That's awesome. Now, this is really, really cool. She writes that down, right? What is that telling people? She's not afraid to try something. Ooh, yes. What? Yes. What else? Yes. That's all right. It's going to come back as soon as it does. Just start talking. Yes. Because she's not afraid to try something. What else is there? She's got energy. That she can do something outside the box because that's not in the norm. Courageous. And sometimes you have to spell it out for them. You put down what your extracurricular activity is and put in parentheses what that means. Give it to them, because they may not be that smart to figure it out. But now you're going to give them that information. So as you write down, I want you to write down one of your extracurricular activities, and I want you to put down what does that mean about you. You got 1 minute.
You guys, for some of us, the school has activities within the school too, so if you have things like the teen center and you volunteer, that's huge. That's part of it. If you're running a club, if you're part of a club, those things are part of it. Don't keep that in mind.
If you take care of someone, that's huge. How many of you, by a show of hands, you think about it and you go, I don't have any extracurricular activities? That's excellent. Because sometimes people think that they don't, but they actually do. You got about 10 seconds left. All right. Your educational and career goals and plans. Think about that. Can I tell you, most of the students that come into the college do not know what they're majoring in. And those who do know what they're majoring in, they end up changing their major at least one time. There's nothing wrong with that. However, the more focused you are, the quicker you decide what it is that you're going to do and go towards that, the faster you're going to get there. Otherwise, you'll start over here, and then you decide you want to do this, and then none of your credits that you paid for will count. Sometimes they do. So you got to decide on that.
I will say spending your money smart, and this is from a personal experience and testimony. Community college is always the way to get those first 2 years out, and it's not going to cost an arm and a leg. Because then other schools will accept some of your credit, and it's a way for you to start getting accommodated and acclimated to college in that atmosphere, getting used to it, knocking out those general courses, and getting a feel for what you really want to pursue. Because what you really want to pursue is how you should choose a college. That thing you really want to do. There's a college that's perfect for that thing. So always think about first going into a community college, getting your feet wet before you jump into a four-year university, because it will cost you much, much less. And you can get practice with scholarship writing.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing. If you go to a community college, then when you are taking your classes, you can declare yourself as getting an associate's degree of arts or an associate's degree of science. And that leaves you still open to go into different directions, and your classes will still count. So just be mindful of that. I'm not here to push the community college, because I love seeing students go straight to the university. I really do. I just want you to know the insight, to know that it costs less, you get a higher return on investment, that you're going to have smaller classes, right? So those are just some of the things to consider.
It's also not as painful when you change your major. So if you're thinking you're going to be a lawyer, I changed my major, no joke, 4 times before I ended up in the position that I'm in now. And I had 2 degrees. They would have cost me a lot less had I not switched so much and had I stuck that only in the community college setting. So again, it's personal testimony.
And I'm so with her, because the same thing happened to me. Here's the last one on this. Any special circumstances. You know, sometimes those special circumstances speaks volumes about who you are. My special circumstance, you know, later in life was that I found myself in poverty with a child, single parent, struggling and couldn't really make it, couldn't get the ends to meet. My son's father was killed in a helicopter crash in 2001, and so I had to try to raise my son the best that I could. In addition to that, when I decided to go back to school and I tried to go to the community college, I couldn't get in because I could not read and comprehend, and I couldn't write sentences grammatically correct, and I only used slang. That was who I was. But I tell you what, when I started applying for the scholarships, and I wrote those circumstances down, and I was telling them how I was going to overcome them, it got their attention. And I got the scholarships. And they want to see that you do accomplish those goals. For my son to be at a point where he is financially in his life today, for him to be Second Lieutenant Lewis, and for me to be Dr. Lewis, is amazing. It's going from poverty to PhD. And you all can do that, but these are the stories that they want to listen to, that they want to know about. So sometimes when you say, why me? I don't think that this is fair. It might be that step that's going to catapult you into a place that other people who don't have the circumstance can't ever get into. So think about your circumstance. And sometimes those circumstances don't always have to be bad. It could be something that you achieved. It could be, all kinds of things. And every one of us here, every one of us have a story. I guarantee you, those of us that are sitting here at the front, every one of us can entertain you with our stories. What you see is not always what it is. It's so much deeper and so much more. But when you have those circumstances, it only makes you stronger, bigger, and badder. And you can achieve anything. So I want you to think about those circumstances because that can be a part of your writing. And you get somebody to help you to tailor that so that you don't go into all the details. Because sometimes we tell a little too much. Effective profiles successfully do the following if you want to do this. Give insight about who you are, how you think, how you decide to act or not act, how you approach a problem or a dilemma, and how you interact with your environment. These are questions, and I see 3, 4 cameras up. Get them cameras up. This is some good stuff, y'all. I'm telling you, don't put the phones away. In every other place you go, what do they tell you to do? Put them away. I'm telling you, pull them bad boys out because it's here. You've got the information. Let it be of some assistance. And if you don't have it, ask somebody to email it to you, to text it to you, to print it out and give it to you, whatever. You don't have to know that person. But you want to be able to provide that, and we're going to be able to see examples of this in a few minutes. Don't do this. This is a generic statement, so this is an example. Being chosen as captain of the soccer team made me more mature. That's a very, very generic. Okay, great, it made you mature, but I don't know what to do with it at all. What does that mean? However, here's one. Here's an alternative. What I learned from being the captain of the soccer team was how to motivate and encourage others effectively when situations seemed hopeless. Now that changes the game. Add some meaningful words to it. Give them the actual answer. How many of you took pictures of the 2 examples? Okay, I'm going to do this again. Y'all better get the cameras out. There it is. This is a don't. This is the generic. So in other words, don't do a generic statement. Everybody got the picture? Okay. Now get ready to take the picture of what to do. Click it. Yeah, you can use them. Use them. Please do.
You guys ever heard in your English class voice, you need to express your voice? That's what this is telling you. Sometimes you work so hard to sound professional and right that you will lose your voice entirely. Now granted, we want to lose slang and things like that so that we can hear, like, yes, I know how to clean it up, but losing your voice entirely isn't going to work. There was an episode of a comedy show a long time ago where all the guy did was right-click and click the alternative word so he sounded smart, and by the time he was done with the paper, it sounded nothing like him, and he didn't even know what he said. So you have to think about that. Is that really something I would say? What if they do a follow-up interview with you, and you can't remember what you said in the paper? You need to sound like yourself. There's always a way to clean it up. The first time you sit down to write it, just write it. Don't worry about how you sound. You can clean that up in the second draft.
That makes so much sense. I know that the Vice President of Retention at Pikesville Community College, Mr. Lopez, he said that his son wrote a paper and the people on the committee asked him who wrote it. And he said, I did, right? Now, what do you think would have happened if he didn't write it? Because the next thing was they said, tell us it again. And he did. And he got the scholarship because his whole passion, his voice, everything was already in it. So that's really, really important. So if you don't know, if you don't think you have a voice, if you don't think you have a story to tell, if you don't think you can answer some of these questions, who can you talk to that can help you with that list? Say that again? Your parents, absolutely. Who else? Friends, yes. Look at here. Ask them to write a list of your 5 most noticeable personality traits. Ask why they chose the ones they did. If an image of your personality begins to emerge, consider life experiences that can illustrate these particular traits. So here's the steps. Thank you for pulling up those cameras. That's it. Yes. So these are things that you can do. This is giving you that information. And then consider your childhood. Consider events from your childhood that inspire the interests you have today. Interests that begin in your childhood may be most defining parts of your life. So you want to be able to do these things.
And in the last slide too, you can consider the manager if you have a part-time job. You can ask them, you can ask your teachers, counselors, principals, anybody you work with.
Yes. So consider your role models. Who are your role models? Those you aspire to become like, certain people, and you may want to incorporate a discussion of that person. Traits you admire into your scholarship. So, in other words, who are these people that you say, you know what, I admire them, and I would like to bring that into my story. I remember when I was looking for sponsorship for my competition. I do bodybuilding competitions, and believe me, I'm competing against women 18 to 52. And when you can still win first, that's saying something. But it's costly. So I was looking for sponsorships, and they wanted to know who did I admire. And I admire one of the oldest bodybuilding champions in the world, Miss Ernestine Shepherd. She's from Baltimore, Maryland, African American, and she is 76 years old. And she is awesome. I went to visit her. We did push-ups together. When I got tired, she laughed and put one arm behind her back and kept doing push-ups. So why not inspire to be her? But I had to tell, what did that mean? That meant that I have something I can look forward to the next 26 years. That I can actually accomplish it. So you can add those individuals. The other thing is read other sample scholarships. Find them. Read how other people have done them. You can Google that. It's easy to do. So here's how you can determine your goals. Why do you want to spend 2 to 6 years of your life at a particular college? How is the degree necessary to fulfill the fulfillment of your goals? Think broadly, and how else will your education fit your needs and lead you to a fulfilling life? I'd love to go over that, but I want to make sure that we have a great opportunity to apply some of this that I'm talking about. And so if you get stuck in this area, then we're going to be here to help you. And by the way, this is called your success entourage. These are people that can help you get where you want to go. There's more in the room. These are all scholars. So keep that in mind. Keep calm. Get a scholarship. Answer the question. Be original. Be yourself. Don't use big words. Just like Ms. Gonzalez just said. Use imagery. What do we mean by imagery? Paint a picture. Grab the committee's interest in the introduction. Body paragraphs must relate to the introduction. Use transitions. Conclusions are crucial. And give essays to others to read and then revise. Revise. This is going to be extremely, extremely important.
I will say for conclusions too, I tell my students it's the last stand. And what a last stand is this is the last thing we're going to read about. Does it encourage me to go back to the beginning and read it all over again? Because that's how strong your conclusion was. Your introduction and conclusion have to mirror each other in strength. If it's your last stand, it's the last thing I can say to you, and this is what you're going to be thinking about afterwards. So consider that when you're writing your conclusions. It's not a throwaway paragraph. It's probably one of the most important.
I love that. Thank you so much. Here are some things that you want to be cautious about. References. Do not put a person down as a reference unless you've already asked permission from them. I don't care how much you know them, ask them for permission. I cannot tell you how many scholarships are turned away because the reference didn't have any idea that this was going on. Not that they wouldn't speak on your behalf, they just didn't know. And that came directly from the committee themselves and told me that. The next is social media. You know, we love Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and all these things, but they do look at these things, whether it's for a job, a scholarship, entering into a college. And here's something that you may not know. They're not going to just look at your Facebook page. They're not going to just look at your friend's Facebook page. They're going to look at who is your friend's friends. So they go 3 deep. This is serious. There's 2 things that employers and schools look at. Your social media, and they look at your financial stability. The older you get, the more they're going to look at what is your credit score. Because they want to know, can you handle stuff here? If you can't handle home, how can you handle here? And your social behavior. What is your behavior online? How you send emails and texts. And believe me, if you don't think that somebody can grab a hold of your text, think again. All of that can be seen. So when you're taking your selfies, you better think again what you're selfing. Because this all sends a message. Now is the time to, you know, if that was fun, great. But now it's time to start getting serious and cleaning that stuff up. You have to. You have to. Take a picture of this. More information, the conclusion. Link your conclusion to your introduction and end with a famous quote that is relevant. You don't have to do that. That's just a suggestion. Just make sure that it's useful. And then those are things to ask other people. So this is what we're going to do. You have a great opportunity to apply what you're learning right now. And this is going to come through applying for a scholarship. I want you to apply for a scholarship right now, and you're going to get help. This is the I Have a Dream Scholarship. And it's really asking, what is your dream? So we're going to pass them out. And there is that other worksheet that was handed to you, and you're going to be answering these questions. So the way that this is going to work is I'm going to count you all off through 7s, okay? So hold on. You're going to be 1. Yes, what's your real You're 6. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so here it is. What I want is I want all 1s to come all the way over here. You gotta do it quickly though, because you don't have a lot of time. All the 1s over here, and I want you to work on question number 1. Number 1's right here. Number 2's I want right here. Number 3, I want right here. Number 4's right here. Number 5, all the way over there. All the way over. Number 6, right here. And number 7, over here. If you're lost, you don't know which one you are. And answer your section. So if you're in group number 1, what number is it? All right. So you only have like 5 minutes, but I want you together to work on this and make sure that you look at it, really looking at that scholarship. Yes. So it's the I Have a Dream Scholarship, and it is a real scholarship. You want it. This is how you apply for it. work individually and we don't get near as much accomplished as we do when we bring ourselves together with other people. So start having the conversation and coming together. Yes, that's the jigsaw. Yes. And it's so
Yeah, I like that.
Are you guys all part-timers? Okay, so they have some intern, right? Everybody, we have like 1 minute left in this session. I know. So this is what we're going to do. There's two things that you're going to receive. You're going to, and you have to fill this out before you leave. Have to. It's your action plan, what you're going to do. We're going to fill this out quickly together, and then you're going to keep a certain copy of it, and then we're going to keep the other part. Also, we have an envelope for your scholarships, so that when you're done, you'll be able to put them in there so that you can send them off, okay? Because I'd really like to see who wins it. It would be awesome. So we're going to pass these out so that you can have them. And we're going to start filling them out. And then you guys can continue the discussion of the scholarship, but what this is your action plan. Make sure that you have your name on it and you have to press hard because we need these copies back.